Hey guys, how's it going? Shay here from That Student Life Australia, and in today's video I'm going to give you my top tips for doing really well in the trial HSC. I'm going to give you everything I learned from when I did it a year ago so that you can do well as well. Okay, so a recap of what happened to me in the trials. So pretty much for me, the trials was the hardest I've ever worked in my entire life by about 10 times. I got up, went to school, came home, studied till late at night from the time coming home. I went through many energy drinks and coffees in the 3 weeks of studying for the trials and then 2 weeks of the trials. It was a pretty ridiculous time period, but I did really well and I was really happy with all the marks I got for all my subjects, and it put me in a really good stead for the HSC. Alright guys, so it's a bit of inception now because I'm actually editing this video which you are about to watch. Now, something happened with the filming and I actually lost one of my tips, so here it is. You'll be learning stuff in class until probably a week before the trials. That's not ideal, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't start studying until a week before the trials. You've got to start studying long before that, and what you'll do is, as you go in class, just make those notes as like your little bit added on top of what you're already doing to study. So, I mean, that stuff you learn a week before, you can learn that. It's only a small portion of your notes. You can learn it in a couple of days, so don't worry about that. But just make sure that you don't let the fact that you don't stop learning until a week before stop you from going back and learning the stuff from, even months ago. So you've got to prepare, start revising, even though you won't be completely done. Alright, so what's my first tip for doing well in the trials? Well, it's easy and it's pretty predictable. Start early. I mean, the trials are just hard. I mean, they just are hard. I mean, you're not entirely ready for a HSC because the HSC is later on in the year, but it pretty much is the HSC. It's the practice round. So, it can be just as hard, if not harder, than the real HSC. So, that means you really need to start early. So, I would be starting seriously studying, like doing your real study work at least 3 weeks before. 4 weeks would be perfect, but 3 weeks before, if you start in there and go really hard, notes, past papers, all that stuff, you should be fine. Alright, now the trials are no different in terms of how you should study. The things you should be doing in the 3 weeks, 4 weeks before you go are memorising an answer to every dot point or every part of the syllabus which you are required to know, and also doing as many past papers as you can possibly get your hand on. Just past papers, notes, and then once you get towards the actual exams and actually take them, you're going to want to use good exam techniques. So, things like, obviously, highlighting hard questions and coming back to them at the end, doing the easy questions at the start, not leaving any multiple choice questions blank, always putting every answer, you think best down, don't leave anything blank. All those common exam technique type things that I've done in other videos, they're all very applicable. Also, on the day of the exam, I've got another video on that. You're going to want to get a decent sleep, not stress out too much right before the exam. Maybe turn up on your own and don't hang out with people that might make you nervous because they're nervous and they haven't studied. Don't let people psych you out. So all those things definitely apply. You just need to apply them with more seriousness than you had before, because the trials are usually worth more and they're usually a bit harder on your mind, and just in terms of difficulty of test, they're probably a little bit harder than what you've seen before. So all those things really need to be used now. Notes, past papers, good exam technique, good exam prep. Okay, so I just want to say a quick little specific tip for English. Now, what I did for the trials and the HSC in English was I had, for me this is what I did, I had an essay prepared which I learnt. I had a creative variety story prepared which I learnt. I also had backups, ideas and characters and stories for all those things just in case it didn't work, but they did, they worked really well, so I didn't have to change anything. But what I was doing in the time before the HSC trials in English, instead of just only memorising, what I was doing was I was going through all the last 4 or 5 years of HSC English past papers, through every question, Mod A, Mod B, Mod C, and for area of study. And I looked through them and I just went through every question in the last 5 years and I said, okay, how would I adapt my essay to this? How would I adapt my story to this? How would I adapt this, this and this? So I got myself ready for the possibility that one day the essay that I'd learnt wouldn't be exactly what I needed. So I got good at changing it, but thankfully when I got into the trials, the essays I had were perfect, which was nice. So to conclude this video, how did I know I was ready for the trials and knew that I was going to do pretty well? Pretty much before every exam I could, except for one exam, recite to you the entire syllabus and the answers to all those dot points. I had done heaps and heaps of past papers for all the sciences, maths, humanities. For English I was ready to adapt all my essays, which had all been either used before and done well, or had been re-edited and re-edited until they were at a mark, which I was so happy with that I didn't need to change them anymore. I learnt all of my notes, I did all of the past papers I could possibly do. I made sure I had a full game plan in terms of exam technique. You know, something goes wrong, what I do. Just made sure I was well practiced in that, and I had a game plan going into it. I remained calm, half an hour before the exam, so I was clear-headed as best as I could be. Yeah, I mean, I just tried to combine everything I knew about doing well into one, and it did come off, and I was stoked with that, and it really pushed me forward to do well in the HSC and then get the ATAR that I got. So the trials are definitely worth going hard for. They're definitely worth trying to study early and study hard for, because they can really help you either turn it around or keep a good year going. So definitely worth it, guys. Hope these tips helped you. It's just the same old study habits, the same old study guides that I've already said in terms of exam technique, memorizing your notes, doing past papers. Mix that in with a lot of hard work and you'll be fine, you'll do well. Alright guys, thanks very much for watching. Good luck in all your HSC exams and HSC trials. Work hard, you'll do well. I'll see you later. Bye.